Chapter 435, 284 Enlightenment Saint Body 4K. Jiangnan in March is filled with the songs of Orioles. The spring of Sioux City arrived as promised. What should have been a vibrant season, however, was cast under a shadow by a sudden emergency. The martial prison guarded by grandmasters in the suburbs was invaded by several nameless ghost kings, which led to an intense battle. Lu Feng and another elderly grandmaster from the police force rushed to support, but were ambushed by a strong adversary on their way. The Blue Lotus Society, the Heart Happiness Sect, Carefree Travel, and the Eternal Heaven marshaled their top experts and besieged the two grandmasters. They banished Lu Feng with an evil skill to a nameless void, suspected to be the Void Realm, while the other grandmaster managed to escape and call for help. Lu Feng vanished from the human world. Back in Hang City, Gong Jiu of Jiangnan Wu University, a great grandmaster known as Absolute God No Trace, was enraged. He set aside his work and came to Sioux City in person to investigate Lu Feng's disappearance. He contacted all the senior members of Starfair City across Dazia, searching for traces of Lu Feng in the Void Realm. But as days went by, no one knew where Lu Feng had gone. Somewhere in Sioux City. Protector Su, where did you banish Lu Feng to? Gu Kainqian's face was somber, and behind her, a vision of a reclining goddess flickered into existence, her scant garments connoting both sanctity and a sinister charm. Behind Su Cheng, an image of Blue Lotus supporting the heavens appeared, and he said with a shrug, "As I've said, I don't know either. My banishment spell was disrupted by Lu Feng's aura. Considering our safety, I released the spell before it was fully executed, so the destination was random. The Void Realm is vast. How could I know where he went? Rest assured, though the transfer was slightly off, the likelihood of Lu Feng being sent to a forbidden area is higher. He's probably doomed." Gu Kainqian rubbed her forehead, a look of worry on her face. Su Cheng's actions weren't wrong. Despite being four individuals, none of them excelled in head-on battles. If they hadn't banished Lu Feng quickly, who had cultivated both internally and externally after his burst seed, he might soon have taken one of them with him. If they hesitated, they'd be defeated one by one. Li Haisheng, indifferent, laughed and said, "Who cares where he went, as long as he's not in Sioux City for a while? He was only here to search for the future Holy Daughter. With Lu Feng around, he was a hindrance. Once the Holy Daughter was found, he would leave Sioux City. Even if Lu Feng returned, it would be of no concern to him. The power of Eternal Heaven was in the north, with no current interest in extending their reach to the south." Tang Zheng also revealed a smile. Without Lu Feng around, even the air in Sioux City seemed freshly sweet. The Zia had a scarce number of experts above the rank of Grandmaster. Great Grandmasters and Heavenly Kings either guarded schools or key junctions, unlikely to come to Sioux City for such positions. Senior Grandmasters, usually entangled with their own duties, could hardly make themselves available. Even if another Grandmaster was sent, as long as it wasn't someone with combined internal and external cultivation like Lu Feng, they were not to be feared. Gu Kainqian no longer worried about these things. Though there were deviations, the mission was somewhat successful. The next step was to keep a close eye on the Void Realm. If Lu Feng was found alive, he should be killed immediately. Alone and without support, even Lu Feng, with Grandmaster cultivation within the Void Realm, would face a certain death. Deep in the Void Realm. This was an unexplored land of mystery. The firmament above wasn't black but deep red, like blood. The ground was riddled with gullies. Within the fractured canyons, ancient bones emitting the air of desolation were scattered everywhere, their numerous scars silently recounting the ferocity of past battles. The sporadically encountered four great heavenly calamities within the forbidden area were commonplace here. Moreover, even more terrifying disasters wreaked havoc across the land and sky. A figure stood at the bottom of the canyon, looking up at the unfamiliar sky. Even Lu Feng, who was well-traveled and knowledgeable, felt a slight tremor in his spirit at the sight of such terrible scenes. He looked at his damaged phone. The messages from his daughter had been frozen in time. Calming his mind, he disappeared into the canyon. Kunlun Mountain. A mighty mountain range sprawling across the western region of Dazia, over 5,000 miles long, honored as the ancestor of 1,000 mountains and the source of 1,000 rivers. In ancient times, among this grand cluster of peaks and ridges, top-level forces like Carefree Palace and Great Snow Mountain were born. The Carefree Elder and the White Dragon, great grandmasters like Zhang Zhu, were the two martial arts giants that ruled Kunlun Mountain, shining throughout history. Dazia founded the Changxia Top 9, based on the Taoist heritage, inheriting the Taoist lineage from Carefree Palace and Great Snow Mountain, and eventually established Kunlun Martial Arts University, the first martial institution in the Western region. Kunlun Martial Arts University had two campuses, north and south. The northern campus was located on the remains of Great Snow Mountain, icy and frozen. The southern campus was where Carefree Palace stood, a valley of eternal spring. Lu Chenju arrived from Mount Everest, first visiting the northern campus. After exploring here, he would head to the southern campus, where Li Gui and his wife were also present. As the divine chariot touched down, figures gathered around it. "Mr. Lu, I'm Wang Xiaobing, a reporter from Martial Arts Daily. I'm your fan. I've heard that your spear skill is extraordinary. Do you dare to have a match with me?" All kinds of people were there, like paparazzi waiting for him. "Sorry, I don't have time." Such trifles once indulged would never end. Lu Chenju had his own plans and had no time to delay. He felt fortunate that aside from the assassination attempt on Sanking Mountain, up to now, no nefarious forces had sent anyone to harass him anymore, likely realizing the futility of their attempts. Of course, it was also possible they were biding their time for a greater move. Thus, he always traveled low-key, avoiding lingering too long in one place except in bustling areas or within the top martial university premises to avoid unwanted confrontations. After registering for entry, he headed straight for the Great Snow Mountain ruins. Inside Kunlun Martial Arts University, the senior members also turned their glances toward Great Snow Mountain. Chapter 436, 284 Enlightenment Saint Body 4K/2. These powerful individuals were also curious about Lu Chenju's performance. While Lu Chenju was well versed in both Buddha Tao and Taoist teachings, the martial arts legacy of the Great Snow Mountain originally stemmed from the holy fire religion of ancient countries in the western regions. It was later transmitted to ancient Dazia, where the White Dragon Master assimilated and refined it, creating a martial arts Tao with a strong western region's flair that was somewhat unique. The cold wind cut like a knife, and the sun shone on the snowy mountains. Creak, creak. Lu Chenju trudged through the snow, arriving at a place of ruins and remnants. Compared with long-standing sects like the Shaolin and Wudang, many other martial arts forces had vanished into the annals of history for various reasons. According to the Dazia martial arts history, the Great Snow Mountain fell after the White Dragon Master's ascension, lacking a great grandmaster to defend it during the infamous Demon King disaster of the snow region. Pinglai Island disappeared into the ocean one day, with folk tales suggesting it was devoured by the returning ruins. Where Pinglai went remains an unsolved mystery to scholars to this day. The Carefree Palace fell into disarray and ultimately collapsed due to infighting among the three immortals of Leisure after the death of Elder Leisure, meeting its end at the hands of the demon sect forces of the western regions. There were many other similar cases. As time passed and dynasties changed, no force was eternal and indestructible. Wandering through the ruins of the Great Snow Mountain, Lu Chenju sensed the glory of the past. In his mind's eye, there seemed to emerge a palace complex filled with an exotic flair. He closed his eyes, and after a long while when he opened them again, a different scene appeared. Roar! High above, a silver ice dragon with wings on its back, 100 jang long, coiled in the sky. A burly man with an imposing stature and somewhat ugly features wielded an immortal ice staff, swinging it through the air where it grew as towering as Kunlun Mountain upon encountering the wind. Ha ha ha, well met. A sloppy Taoist wielding a magical sword trod upon the snow mountain with steps aligned with the Big Dipper. With a slight raise of his hand, 7 sword chi beams shot into the heavens, connecting the Big Dipper to the sky. Boom, boom, boom. At that moment, 2 top-level powerhouses clashed between heaven and earth. The White Dragon Master and Jiangzu. In terms of destructive power, this battle was leagues beyond those top-level fighters at the All-Nations Martial Arts Tournament. But that boundless aura surpassing the heavenly heart, the indomitable martial arts spirit, and the Grandmaster's breathtaking Chi Po were second to none at the absolute peak. They were the absolute peaks of the Great Capital era. Lu Chenju had been traveling north, south, west, and east for more than half a year, encountering traces of Jiangzu in various Dao-Yun illusion realms, but this was the first time he faced top-level fighters in battle. Such an opportunity was rare, He watched carefully as the martial arts tree in his mind absorbed the fleeting Dao Yun from history's river, growing robustly. Starting from 18 Zhang, it visibly grew taller. The sword technique employed by Zhang Zhu originates from Tai Kai boxing and has evolved into the Tai Kai seven-star sword by the Xuanwu Taoist. It's rumored to summon the imposing aura of the true martial dispelling demon great emperor with power to split the heavens and sever the earth. Lu Chenju couldn't quite identify the staff technique used by the White Dragon Master. Martial arts from the Great Snow Mountain weren't widely spread, and because of their Western region style, they didn't mesh well with the De Zia culture and remained relatively niche. The so-called Western region style favored a system similar to modern fighters. This approach focused on the physical body. Although it included spiritual cultivation, the integration of body and mind was lower compared to the inseparable essence, spirit, and energy, Jing Qi Shen, of De Zia's martial arts. However, this staff technique does have shades of the spear immortal. Staff technique, stick technique, and spear technique all share common ground as long weapons. If I can grasp even a fraction of its essence, it could be immensely beneficial for my deduction of the martial king's spear. As he watched, Lu Chenju began practicing with his spear again. Outside the ruins of the Great Snow Mountain, teachers and students from Kunlun Martial Arts University gathered nearby. Lu Chenju has started practicing the spear. Has he grasped some spear technique? Quick, everyone start practicing the spear. Wait, isn't Great Snow Mountain known for its saber technique and staff technique? Who cares? Just practice along. They say that when Lu Chenju was at Hidden Immortal Rock, he had a revelation, making Zhang Zhu manifest. Those who practiced with him all made considerable gains, with some improving their boxing realm and others experiencing inspiration. We can't miss this chance. Many teachers and students began to practice the spear. Regardless of whether they could understand the Tao or not, copying was the way to go. Buzz. A figure lying atop a sword arrived in midair, seemingly drunk. His gaze was sharp, he exuded a restrained and steadied aura, and his figure was lean. After landing, the precious sword beneath him flew into the sword box behind him, as if alive. He gazed leisurely at Lu Chenju. Many Kunlun Martial Arts University students greeted him voluntarily. Met the chief. Met Senior Jikyu. Drunken sword Taoist Yi Jikyu. He was the chief of Kunlun years ago, possessing the Kongming sword body, broke free of restraints at 16, became a martial arts master at 20, and now at only 25, his strength combined with the intermediate divine weapon, the Kingping sword, made him stand out among martial arts masters. Yi Jikyu and Zhang Lingmiao, Hong Tianxiang, and others had all become famous at a young age, securing their positions in this golden age brimming with talents and prodigies. Of course, ever since Lu Chenju started his wandering last year, causing a stir with his reverse attack break 2, provoking a series of news events such as the manifestation of Zhang Zhu and other incidents, these old generations of unmatched prodigies had become somewhat overshadowed, which sparked some curiosity in Yi Jikyu. As prodigies themselves, they had their pride. Without having fought a real battle, to say they were not as good as Lu Chenju based on public opinion alone seemed too arbitrary. Looking at Lu Chenju devoted to his spear skill, Yi Jikyu felt a little disappointed. He hasn't broken through the second level yet, never mind. His cultivation was already approaching the pinnacle of breaking through the second level. After observing for a moment, Yi Jikyu carried his sword and left. He hadn't walked far when shouts of astonishment came from behind. Boom, boom, boom. Atop the Great Snow Mountain ruins, the heavens and earth shook, and extraordinary phenomena suddenly arose. Two figures 100 feet tall, standing across the eternal time and space, towered on the snowy grounds, radiating brilliant light, the dragon's cries and the tiger's roars, the resounding sword clashes, spirits soaring to the skies. Yi Jikyu's eyes were filled with shock. Zhang Zhu manifested again, even the White Dragon Mountain Master. He was immediately captivated by this legendary battle. He had also attained enlightenment at the Great Snow Mountain ruins, but he only saw some of the life and routines of the White Dragon Mountain Master, ultimately comprehending a Snow Mountain sword skill, a true skill of swordsmanship commonly practiced by Kunlun Martial Arts University cultivators. In the Dao Yun, he had not seen Zhang Zhu. Not to mention witnessing the legendary battle between Zhang Zhu and the White Dragon Mountain Master. This battle, due to the lack of observers at the time, had no one to confirm the details, and it was made known to the world only after Zhang Zhu failed to break through the sixth restraint, and the White Dragon Mountain Master, mourning the passing of his Taoist friend, said at the Feather Transformation Assembly, "I once battled with Zhang Zhu and was defeated. Under the heavens, only two kinds of martial artists exist. One kind is us, and the other is Zhang Zhu, who has transcended the era." This legendary battle, recorded in the annals of history, had only one line. Before Zhang Zhu entered Dao, he had successive battles with White Dragon Mountain Master, Pinglai Island Master, Elder Leisure, and over 10 other great grandmasters of the era, all defeated. Kangwen Divine Monk, upon realizing the Tathagata method, mourned for 3 days after hearing of Zhang Zhu entering Dao, lamenting his own insufficiency. Kangwen Divine Monk had never directly fought Zhang Zhu, but his admiration was telling. Zhang Zhu once made a prophecy that ended a millennium, once defeated all the heroes of the world alone. Not witnessing Zhang Zhu challenging the world was a regret for countless people throughout history. And now, this scene had just stepped out of the long river of history to mirror reality within the Dao Yun illusion realm. It wasn't just Yi Zhikyu who was shocked. For a time, the entire Kunlun Martial Arts University was shaken. Upon hearing the news, all the grandmasters of the School Affairs Committee were mobilized. Those who had been successful in enlightenment at the Great Snow Mountain ruins were few, and none had triggered the manifestation of Dao Yun. One grandmaster remarked, "Indeed, this Dragon City chief has the innate enlightenment saint body." "What's an enlightenment saint body? I've never heard of it." One naturally possessing a strong affinity for Dao Yun is called an enlightenment saint body, which is a new Taoist body recently proposed by the Martial Arts Association's Taoist Body Compilation Committee. It's just made up now, isn't it? Isn't it so? Well, that makes sense. Just like that, a new Taoist body was born. It had no precedent, and it wasn't certain whether there would be successors. For the time being, in this era, it was unique to Lu Chenju. Chapter 437, 285 Intention Blending 3K. Kunlun Southern Campus. On the grass, Li Gui basked in the winter sun, laughing and saying, "Enlightenment Saint Body, ha, that's interesting." He had speculated countless times about what kind of martial bone Dao embryo Lu Chenju was, but he never expected that, in the end, the Martial Arts Association would come up with a newly coined term. Next to him on the grass, Li Yu was happily playing with a baby girl, and since becoming a mother, this usually aloof swordswoman was constantly radiating maternal warmth. The baby girl was named Li Yao and was named by Li Gui. They had already tested the girl's innate root bone at the Kunlun Martial Arts University, and luckily, she possessed a top-class root bone, 1 in 10,000. With their resources and education, as long as Li Yao was willing to work hard in her martial arts training, becoming a martial arts master was a certainty, but becoming a martial arts grandmaster would depend on her comprehension and luck. In any case, her future achievements were bound to surpass both her parents. Li Yu said, "In a few days, Chenju will arrive. Now that we have a child, it's not suitable for us to be wandering around. After meeting Chenju, we should return to Sioux City." Li Gui said, "Indeed, next, we should both strive to break through third. The remaining goal in life is to cultivate Yayar into a martial arts grandmaster. Only then can we establish a foothold in the chaotic world." In this era, martial artists, despite their difficulties, had it better than ordinary people. At least martial artists had a choice. Sioux City. Dragon City Martial Arts University. Zhang Zhu has been manifested again. Old Jai looked at the news, wondering inwardly. Just how many Dao Yun did Zhang Zhu leave in the world? Why couldn't others manifest Zhang Zhu, and only her own disciple could do it? Jai Feiyan's eyes shifted, and she suddenly asked, "Old Dad, do you think my junior brother could be the reincarnation of Zhang Zhu?" King Shin Kang scolded, "Nonsense. We martial artists do not believe in reincarnation. An existence like Zhang Zhu with martial arts while transcending the heavenly heart has left his imprint for eternity. It's quite normal to leave behind multiple Dao Yun. Dao Yun, though seemingly ethereal, do follow some patterns that can be grasped with comprehension, talent, martial arts will, and the character of a martial artist among many factors determining the trigger. Some people are born with a natural affinity for a certain Dao Yun and are recognized by the sages, making it normal for the Dao Yun to manifest." "I see, I'll go check it out someday." Jai Feiyan accepted the teaching. Shi Ruyu said, Take me with you. Once I'm done with the martial arts university, we'll go together. Okay. Sensing Dao Yun wasn't anything new, but for the longest time, most ordinary martial artists thought it was too far removed from themselves, a privilege of geniuses. Lu Chenju's wanderings made many feel it was within their reach. A trend of wanderlust was brewing, and how many would follow in Lu Chenju's footsteps and retake his journey, even if they couldn't comprehend the Tao, to personally experience De Zia's profound culture, broaden their horizons, and strengthen their martial arts will. Principal Wang's house. There was no gathering of Lu Chenju's sect without him. A petite but spirited, slightly ferocious-looking armored woman took off her armor and sat down by Wang Xian, making him somewhat uneasy. For this was no other than his second senior sister, the fierce and adorable Lin Zia. Lin Zia was only a decade older than Wang Xian, but due to her young, exuberant spirit and beauty-preserving techniques after becoming a grandmaster, her small stature made her appear even younger. I did hear some rumors about this junior brother in Starfire Dragon City, but I never thought those were just the tip of the iceberg he showed. Ha ha ha, Master really found us a big support for the future. Congratulations indeed. He should be back after some time. Good, good, I'm starting to look forward to it. As the two chatted, Wang Changming also came out of the practice room. Lu Chenju manifesting Zhang Zhu for the second time was news he had just learned. Enlightenment Saint Body, huh, that's certainly a precedent. At the sex dinner, they loved to talk about the absent Lu Chenju. In the midst of conversation, Wang Changming asked, Lin Zia, are you really planning to take over Lu Feng's position? Lin Zia said, Yeah, I've thought over the pros and cons. Although there are risks associated with that post, the benefits promised to me by the martial arts department are very important for my cultivation. I've trained in the Void Realm for many years and my strength is decent. I definitely can't compare with Lu Feng, but I feel I have my own advantages and won't let the country down. She had volunteered to come to Sioux City for a very simple reason. Her sect was here, so this was where her home was. After some thought, Wang Changming said, I respect your decision. If nothing unexpected happens, I'll be heading to the Void Realm this year to stand guard. You three should look after each other in Sioux City, especially keep an eye on Lu Chenju. As he rises like the sun, he's also gradually come to the attention of many dark forces. The future will bring all kinds of trouble one after another. Without the strength of a grandmaster, if enemies are willing to pay the price, it will be difficult for Lu Chenju to come out unscathed, given his current strength. The missing Lu Feng is an example. Lin Zia assured him while eating heartily. Since I've come to Sioux City, I won't let others bully my junior brother. Wang Xian said with a smile. With senior sister around, indeed there's a full sense of security. He too had often been bullied when he was young. It was always Sister Lin who settled his enemies, venting for him. His master was busy with cultivation, so his half-mentor was also Sister Lin. Wang Xian's achievements today owed much to his two sisters. One Sister Lin, one Sister Hong. Somewhere in Sioux City, Tang Zheng was inhaling and exhaling blood qi. The palm of his hand turned a dry corpse to flying ashes. It took so much effort to deal with a Lu Feng. Sioux City cannot allow the birth of a second Lu Feng. This Lu Chenju must be strangled before he becomes a grandmaster. Silver Eagle Federation. Blood Duke's complexion was ugly as he demanded. Protector Gu, when will you be able to deal with Lu Chenju? We are already working on a solution. If it really doesn't work, just send a top assassin to take him out in the dark. Their asking price is too high. Lu Chenju is a target under the watchful eye of the powerful. The price has gone up several times compared to before, and the cost is no less than assassinating a grandmaster. How about, Lord Heavenly Dog, you take action yourself? With your strength, even though you're not at your peak, surely you can take down Lu Chenju without much effort. After turning off the projection, Blood Duke's face twisted ferociously. Provocation was of no use to it. Before restoring the Demon King's strength, it would not step half a foot into De Zia. This was its last life. Kunlun Martial Arts University. Great Snow Mountain ruins. The 7-star Taiji sword fell from the sky, myriad sword chi like an array, erased all to dust, ending this unparalleled battle. Zhang Zhu was victorious over the White Dragon Mountain Master. Curiously, the miraculous visions did not dissipate. The two ethereal figures were fighting again. replaying the previous peak battle as if there was never an end. The upper echelons of Kunlun Martial Arts University were overjoyed. Could this vision be fixed in place? Will it not disappear? After repeating 3 times, the vision still did not dissipate. From now on, the great snow mountain ruins of Kunlun Martial Arts University acquired 2 figures that battled against heaven and earth, their struggle continuing from the Dadu dynasty to this day. They narrated the glory of absolute peak strong of bygone days. The battle unceasing. Lu Chenju gazed into his mind. The martial arts tree had unknowingly reached 19 feet tall, exuding an indescribable Dao Yun. Its branches and leaves bore the figures of the forerunners he encountered on his journey, each enacting their own tales. It wasn't just the forerunners, but also the martial artists he'd met along the way, the commoners, all the beautiful scenery. They were all imprinted on the tree, which then became Lu Chenju's life in martial arts. Seeing the world, witnessing all beings. Lu Chenju had a realization. He began practicing spear skill as if no one else was present. Just now, he had grasped an understanding from White Dragon Mountain Master's battle and created a new spear skill, not a killing move, but an addition to the Martial King spear, laying a foundation for its further transformation. He recalled the White Dragon Mountain Master's spear sweep in his mind, like an avalanche, the vast whiteness sweeping the earth in one move, his own spear seamlessly and abruptly swept forward. Titanic innate power coursed along with the spear, turning into a sky filled with ice and snow pouring down. A spear stabbed out, as if scenes of an avalanche emerged. Each snowflake was a move of spear formation, dense as tidal waves piling up and ultimately cascading forth. Martial King scours the wastelands. Great snow emerges from Kunlun. Boom, boom, boom. Everything along the way was pushed aside by the spear wind, the ground seeming to have a layer peeled off, leaving a mess within a semicircular area of 25 feet radius in front of Lu Chenju. Witnessing Lu Chenju's enlightenment and creation of spear skill, Yi Jikyu murmured. Opening wide and closing tightly, an unstoppable force, a splendid spear skill. The observing grandmasters behind the scenes also nodded frequently. The spear formation is majestic, carrying the aura of the forefather of all mountains. To think that the elephant-form boxing lineage also has such a spear technique prodigy. I've never heard of this spear skill before, but its power is not much weaker than a middle-level true skill. If this is his own creation, that would be truly remarkable. If only he were a disciple of my Kunlun. In the snowy field, Lu Chenju completed a full set of Martial King spear techniques. The martial arts tree underwent another change. To reach the pinnacle, surpass the predecessor gun skill second transformation. Martial King spear, 4th rank second transformation, perfection. The spear skill has transformed once again, divine seed effect slightly enhanced. However, to transform into a 5th rank divine seed, there's still a gap. If I can comprehend one more self-created martial arts killing move, 2 killing moves should be able to transform into a 5th rank divine seed. 1 lower grade true skill killing move, 2 middle grade true skills killing moves. As the spear skill transformed once more, and the martial arts tree grew, Dao Yun baptized while the boxing realm rose with the tide. The fog that stood before the 5th realm of Lu Chenju's spear skill gradually dissipated, revealing the essence within. Like boxing, spearmanship also possesses intent. The atmosphere of ironclad troops and a myriad of armies clashing echoed in the inner scenery land, the world adopting a solemn atmosphere, as an unadorned and majestic red copper long spear materialized out of thin air. This represented the intention of the spear intent. It glided in front of the towering tree within the inner scenery land, turning into a crimson light that flowed into it. The originally green leaves bore blotches of red, like the red fallen leaves of fragrant hills, ablaze with color. The intention of the spear merged with that of the fist. The massive tree reached high into the sky, being both a tree and a spear. Boom, boom, boom. The tree visibly grew taller, with new branches stretching out and buds sprouting. It became more solid and lifelike, as if it could fill the entire world. This tree possesses an ambition to soar above the clouds. Chapter 438, 286 Golden Ruins Primordial Monarch, 3K. Ending his enlightenment, Lu Chenju looked around at the large circle of people. From entry-level martial artists to grandmasters, all were stirred. The appearance of Master Yi was certainly big news. This time during enlightenment, he hadn't comprehended any martial arts. The most valuable treasure of this Daoyun site was the projection of that unrivaled battle. For a genius with great comprehension, even learning a little would benefit them for life. Next, it will be the ruins of the Carefree Palace. Lu Chenju was quite looking forward to this place. The Yachi immortal had once gained insight into 3 types of martial arts from a stele within these ruins, including 2 divine skills, one of which had even evolved into a supreme divine skill. The strength of elder leisure was affirmed by Master Yi. As he was about to leave, he was stopped by a grandmaster, who, despite being male, possessed a beautiful and gentle feminine aura with an ethereal temperament. He appeared young, seemingly a peer of Lu Chenju, but in fact was of his grandfather's generation. "Young friend, our principal would like to meet you." Lu Chenju greeted with a bow. "Met Master Yi." Jian Dongla Yi Qingcheng, the Sword Dao Master ranked 10th on the Heaven ranking, was just a step away from becoming a great grandmaster. Ordinary grandmasters struggled to last even 10 moves against him. Yi Qingcheng had a late child who was also top-tier talented, naturally born a Kongming sword body, holding the highest prestige among the young generation in Kunlun Martial Arts University. Sword Daoist Yi Zhikyu. Father and son, both Sword Dao prodigies, their stories were celebrated in the martial arts world. At present, Yi Zhikyu was completely engrossed in the projection of that legendary battle. Lu Chenju met with the principal of the northern campus. She appeared young, draped in an exquisite white great cloak, slender-waisted, carrying an ancient broadsword emanating millennia-old cold glacial qi with a somewhat strange style. Golden Ruins primordial monarch Shang Yuanzhu ranked 45th on the All Nations Top 100 board, an old brand sword Dao Heavenly King. Previously at the All Nations Martial Arts competition, her master, the 3 Extreme Saint, encountered her. Despite striking hard for a moment with 3 weapons, he was defeated by 1 sword strike. Shang Yuanzhu's pupils were ice blue, and she scrutinized Lu Chenju, seemingly curious to see just how divine this so-called enlightenment saint body bearer was. Admittedly, when Lu Chenju first met top-level strong figures, he worried about them discovering the martial arts tree in his mind. But until now, it seemed no one had. This martial arts tree had its own mysterious essence. Inside the room, utter silence reigned. It was just him and this coldly beautiful woman who had lived for at least 200 years. Suddenly, Shang Yunzu showed a slight smile. What a handsome young man. Lu Chenju's heart skipped a beat. This old grandma stopped teasing. The female top-level strong figures of the Kunlun sect, mostly those who practiced the 4 C's and 8 desolate immortal technique to revert to youth, were a group of gray-aged young girls. Seeing that Lu Chenju was silenced by the teasing, Shang Yuanzhu said softly, "Alas, it seems at my age, even with the divine skill reverting to youth, it's not quite suitable to say such things. Never mind, I won't torment you any longer. I called for you for a couple reasons. One is to thank you for unlocking the Daoyun treasure of the Great Snow Mountain, allowing the projection of that unmatched battle to see the light of day again, and the other thing is, my sister wants to meet you." Lu Chenju recalled the external rumors. "Is your sister the Yachi Immortal?" He really didn't know the real name of the Yachi Immortal. Shang Yuanzhu nodded. "Exactly, my sister's full name is Shang Yuan Xian." "What does the Yachi Immortal Senior want with me?" "I don't know either, she just wants to meet you. Especially since you are considered by the Kangshan Dragon King to have an absolute peak presence, many at that level are quite curious about you." Absolute peak presence, Dragon King's valuation. Lu Chenju felt bewildered. The Dragon King actually thought so highly of him. It seemed to be something well known among the higher echelons of the martial arts world. As his talent and strength grew daily, and his perspective widened, the idolization filter had faded a little, yet he was still amazed to receive such an evaluation. "Have caught the eye of the Dragon King," Shang Yuanzhu said. "My sister is currently in Kunlun City. When you have time, you could visit her. If she's pleased with you, she might reward you with something not inferior to a Daoyun baptism. I have some matters to deal with first, but after that, I will definitely visit." Lu Chenju was also curious. The so-called most beautiful woman in the world, what was her true appearance like? Shang Yuanzhu's eyes shimmered with blue light as she looked toward the chest of Lu Chenju. "You are wearing cold silkworm robe underneath your training clothes, aren't you?" "Yes." "Come with me." She raised her hand, wrapping Lu Chenju in a chilly force field, and in a flash she led him, turning into a streak of light, soaring into the heavens. It was Lu Chenju's first real experience of flying. A terrifying magnetic field negated the planet's gravitational pull. The speed of the Heavenly King escape was incredibly fast, comparable to commercial airliners cruising speed in regular flight, able to reach supersonic speeds for short periods at full burst. For an absolute peak strong figure, supersonic flight was routine, but compared to the fastest creations of human technology, physical flying was still much slower. Before long, Shangyuan Zhu brought Lu Chenju to a group of snowy mountains, and then dived headfirst into an ice cavern located on the mountainside. Passing through layers of heavy guards, before Lu Chenju appeared a cold pond that emitted intense cold without freezing, and on its edge grew a crooked tree. He couldn't help saying, "Earth-grade treasure tree Chunming cold sang." Treasure tree, also a type of heavenly materials and earthly treasures, differed from ordinary herbs in that every so often it bore fruits in varying amounts. Therefore, among heavenly materials and earthly treasures, the value of the treasure tree far surpassed treasures of the same level. This treasure tree's value was surpassed only by heavenly grade treasures. Indeed, it was Kunlun Fairy Mountain. In such a bitterly cold place, there still remained a treasure tree. Shangyuan Zhu said, "This tree bears fruit once every 10 years, yielding 3 to 5 Chuan-grade Chuansang fruits. If not picked, every 100 years it can bear 1 Earth-grade Ming-Sang fruit. But as you've seen, the fruits were already harvested in batches for teachers and students to refine. The next batch of Chuansang fruits will mature in 8 years, and my sister said she would save 1 for you. As for the Earth-grade Ming-Sang fruit, forget it. 100 years is too long to wait." "Thank you, Senior. My main purpose for bringing you here today is to give you another type of treasure." Suddenly, Shangyuan Zhu whistled, and from the cold pond emerged a large meatworm, entirely translucent and covered with a layer of ice crystal armor, with 2 pairs of antennae on its forehead. This meatworm was about 10 feet long, its immense cold aura instantaneously freezing the moisture in the air, altering reality and causing snowflakes to drift inside the cave, creating a formidable force field no less powerful than that of a grandmaster, causing Lu Chenju to turn his head. Heavenly rank mutant beast. Mutant beasts were divided into 4 ranks: Heaven, Earth, Chuan, and Yellow. Heaven rank was the strongest grandmaster-level mutant beast discovered. Shangyuan Zhu, caressing the antennae on the meatworm's forehead, said, "This is Kunlun's guardian beast, originally domesticated by the Great Snow Mountain. After the destruction of the Great Snow Mountain, this beast slumbered there and was later discovered by our school. After 1,000 years of dormant cultivation and being fed the leaves of Chuansang tree, it finally ascended to heavenly grade." Lu Chenju suddenly realized, "The silk used in my cold silkworm robe comes from this worm." Correct. When the robe was forged, this worm was still an Earth-grade mutant beast. This worm spins silk by consuming the collected original cold chi over time. My sister said this worm would expend 60 years worth of cold chi to assist in promoting your Dezu Mountain divine weapon. Lu Chenju, not one for pretense, repeatedly expressed his gratitude. If the robe were promoted to intermediate level, even facing a grandmaster, the condensed ice crystal armor could withstand a blow, and combined with the Great Sun Heavenly Dragon Cloak and the 10 Directions Cloud Stepping Boots, his survival capabilities would greatly increase. Absolute peak strong individuals knew exactly what he needed. Yachi Immortal, consider it truly one of the only 2 female absolute peaks. Shangyuan Zhu said, "Take off your cold silkworm robe." "Okay." Lu Chenju immediately removed his robe. He wore it as an undergarment. Now standing shirtless in this extremely cold cave, his skin turned bright red from the cold. Even compared to the temperatures at the poles, this place was incomparable. Shangyuan Zhu suspended the cold silkworm robe in midair in front of the meatworm, which began to exhale a refined, almost celestial, cold chi thread that continuously infused into the robe. Shangyuan Zhu glanced at Lu Chenju's upper body. "Your hard qigong training is not bad. My teachers taught me well." Upon this thought, Lu Chenju's gaze slightly dimmed. Quick to observe, Shangyuan Zhu asked, "What's wrong?" "One of my hard qigong teachers has gone missing." "Do you mean Lufeng?" "Yes. Just missing, not dead. North Vajra, South Lufeng, Evil Tiger, such figures, even if banished to the Void Realm, can still find a way to survive." "True. The first time Lu Chenju heard the news of Lu Feng's disappearance a few days ago, he was genuinely shocked. In his mind, evil tiger had always been synonymous with invincibility. It turned out that even such characters had fallen for the tricks of the cult. It only goes to show, there's a higher mountain beyond each mountain, an inch taller demon beyond each inch of a god. Time elapsed. Shang Yuanzhu, observing the ice crystals on Lu Chenju's skin, smiled and said, "If you're too cold, come into my force field." "Thank you, senior, I can handle it. This is good as a form of cultivation." Suffering, too, was a way to cultivate martial arts will. The three great paths of martial arts included this method of ascetic practice. Shortly thereafter, the large meatworm ended its breaths, its body looking shriveled and drained, listlessly soaking in the pond. Its antennae hung limp, clearly unable to perk up. Shang Yuanzhu gently patted the forehead of the worm and took out some valuable-looking treasures from her storage bag to feed it, to replenish its original cold qi. "I reward you with 10 Chuansang tree leaves. The leaves relate to bearing fruit. These fruits are strategic resources of Kunlun Martial Arts University. Therefore, each one was invaluable." After calming the large meatworm, Shang Yuanzhu waved in the void, and the cold silkworm robe fell into Lu Chenju's palm, instantly sending a soul-piercing chill throughout his body. Shang Yuanzhu's voice came through. "Once the silk has fully digested the coldness, it will have a chance to promote to intermediate level." "Thank you, senior." Not long after, Divine Chariot tore through the air, flying south. Shang Yuanzhu, suspended in the gale, viewed the horizon. "Martial arts are not exclusive. My path is not solitary." Chapter 439, 287. Passing thousands of sails on a boat, one sees oneself, break second shackles and leave a legacy. 3-in-1, 10,000-word additional update, asking for monthly tickets. South Kunlun campus. Deep within the vast expanse of snowy mountains, there existed a valley where it was spring all year round with babbling brooks, and even in winter, it was brimming with vitality. The spiritual aura was lush, truly a heavenly place on earth. In the past, this place was known as Longevity Valley. One reason was due to the climate, and another was that a mystical hermit resided in the valley. According to local folklore from Kunlun, this hermit had existed even before the birth of the Dadu dynasty, and had continued to be present in the world even after the dynasty, which lasted several hundred years, had met its demise. He still appeared as a young man as he was 500 years ago. This hermit was none other than Elder Leisure, who was also among the long-lived in the ranks of the great grandmasters. While the average lifespan of a great grandmaster was 420 years, it was documented that he had lived for 560 years. If asked which force had the greatest influence in the western regions, it would undoubtedly be Great Snow Mountain. At its peak, it was called the Thousand Peaks of Kunlun with 30,000 disciples, akin to a nation. But the most mysterious and powerful would inevitably be Carefree Palace. The Taoist lineage of Carefree Palace was heavily influenced by the Taoist sage Yuangzi, but it was also affected by some hermetic sorcerers, lending it an array of bizarre and fantastical elements. Elder Leisure advocated for living in seclusion from the world. Even though his disciples were highly skilled martial artists, and the three immortals of Carefree Palace were like the sun at midday among the great grandmasters, during its peak, Carefree Palace had even more great grandmasters than Shaolin Temple and Wuding Mountain. Yet, it remained relatively obscure in the Central Plains. When Carefree Palace truly gained a notorious reputation, it was after Elder Leisure had started entering Tao. The three immortals under his command grew greedy, each wanting to unify Carefree Palace, then include Great Snow Mountain, sweep the western region feudal states, establish a western regime, and subsequently raise an army to conquer the Central Plains. This event was known in historical academia as Chaos of the Three Sages. The three immortals were all great grandmasters and favored disciples of Elder Leisure, and their character and temperament should have been top class. By all means, they shouldn't have committed such foolish and mad actions. Even when Elder Leisure was alive, Carefree Palace couldn't compete in essence with Shaolin Temple and Wuding Mountain, let alone the Central Plains and the eastern areas where major sects were abundant. Behind the Dadu dynasty, the Golden Tent King court also had two famed great grandmasters, Grey Wolf King and Sky Eagle King. With the two kings together, they were unmatched in all the lands. The three immortals, no matter how they thought of it, did not have the power to conquer the Central Plains. Historians, after research, feel that this incident cannot be disconnected from the netherworld. The three immortals once ventured deep into the netherworld to seek a treasure medicine to extend the life of Elder Leisure, who was nearing death. Whether or not they found it is unclear, but it is suspected that the personalities of the three immortals drastically changed. Lu Chenju stood tall between heaven and earth, remembering the great events of ancient times. Within the valley, two figures leisurely approached. Li Gui, holding his daughter, laughed and said, "This is Li Yao, my daughter." Lu Chenju couldn't help but touch the baby's chubby cheeks. "She's adorable. I heard she has top-class root bone." "Yes. A future female grandmaster then, if she awakens a talent. I can't even imagine." "Ha ha ha, I dare not imagine the talent, but being a grandmaster would suffice." Having not seen each other for a long time, the mentor and student had endless things to talk about. Li Gui was full of praise for Lu Chenju's wandering achievements. He asked, "Now that Kunlun is done, where will you go next?" Lu Chenju shook his head and replied, "I won't be going anywhere for now. I plan to build a hut in the valley to prepare for my advancement and break second shackles. After the advancement, I plan to travel and visit ancient places while heading back to school." Li Yu chuckled and said, "That's a good plan. Longevity Valley is the land of the South Kunlun campus, and it's safe and secure. You, Mr. Li, and I have lived here for almost half a year, inhaling and absorbing the spiritual essence of heaven and earth, the quintessence of the sun and moon, and I feel like my body and mind have transformed. Yar having top-class root bone, I believe, also has to do with this place, although there is no scientific proof." It wasn't just Li Gui and his wife. Many powerful figures who wish to have offspring choose places with clear mountains, beautiful waters, and a dense spiritual aura, as it always benefits the next generation in any case. Li Gui continued, "This indeed is an excellent place for breakthroughs, far from the mundane world's disturbances. You can quietly sort out your learning in martial arts and adjust your body and mind to peak condition. By the way, what are you still missing for your advancement to break second? Let me help you figure it out." Lu Chenju replied, "First, my flawless power still needs polishing. It hasn't fully covered all my internal organs yet. Second, the issue with harmonizing the tiger form and swallow form power and the transformation true chi. Are your acupoints full? All 150 acupoints are in resonance. Your chi blood must have broken the shackles too, right? I took blood lotus treasure medicine, so my chi blood is now at 60 points. What about fist theory? Spear skill and tiger form are at the 5th realm. Swallow form is at the 4th realm." Li Gui revealed a look of satisfaction. "That settles it then. With your current conditions, calmly refining your power for the breakthrough is enough. My conditions were worlds apart when I did it, yet I succeeded. Especially with your 60 points of chi blood, in a way, you've already stepped half a foot into the second shackles. Taking the blood lotus treasure medicine alone is a rehearsal for breaking the shackles and can also increase the success rate of the breakthrough. Based on my many years of teaching experience, your success rate is above 95%, and the remaining 5% is just luck, which you certainly have no problem with. If it weren't for the fact you practice multiple disciplines, I'd think your success rate for the breakthrough could be well above 99%. Lu Chenju inquired, "Teacher, what was your success rate?" Recalling the past, Li Gui spoke calmly. "I wasn't high 60%. There was a bit of gambling in it." Lu Chenju thought to himself that his teacher's rate was indeed not high. If it were him, he would not attempt it without over a 90% confidence level. Li Yu smiled helplessly and said, "That's why your teacher and I are content with being masters in this lifetime. We don't dare to think about higher realms from now on. Even if we can fully open all acupoints and train to the limit, given our talents, the success rate of becoming a grandmaster might not even be 1 in 5. Chapter 440, 287. Passing thousands of sales, one sees oneself, break second shackles to make a name. 3 in 1, 10,000 words added, seeking monthly ticket, /2. Once the success rate falls below 50%, it is time to consider carefully. If one has nothing in their heart but martial arts and isn't afraid of dying, then it is worth a try. Both of us are common folk, unable to completely sever worldly ties or ignore death. Of course, with your talent, you need not worry about such things before reaching the level of a grandmaster. Just do your duty and destiny will inevitably find you. Just advance boldly." The three sat on the ground, basking in the winter sun, chatting in the grassy field with a gentle breeze, until Yar started crying and Li Gui stood up holding his daughter and said, "Chenju, we are heading back to Sioux City tomorrow. Teacher, won't you stay a little longer?" "No, it's not safe to stay outside with a child all the time." "All right, have a safe journey. See you in Sioux City." Lu Chenju watched Li Gui's receding figure, feeling emotional. One really can't live alone. He distinctly felt that, after having a wife and daughter, the teacher was completely different. Such an ending is the fate of most ordinary martial artists. On the long road of martial arts, there will always be those who can't keep up. Perhaps it's not bad to change one's way of living. Life is, after all, full of variety. He walked along the stream towards the deeper part of the valley, until a majestic ruin with blackened pillars and collapsed flying eaves appeared before him. The human immortal palace, reduced to ashes. Knowing that Lu Chenju was coming, many students had already gathered, many from the northern campus, their eyes filled with anticipation and respect. Previously, many benefited immensely from watching the projections of the unparalleled battle, not only from Kunlun, but also martial artists from other universities, and all walks of life came to pay homage. The Xia martial arts was thriving. On the martial arts forums, some people considered Lu Chenju's travels around the world and Zhang Zu's two manifestations as signs of the beginning of a great era. They said that Lu Chenju, the Enlightenment Saint Body, was the key to unlocking a new era, opening those treasures of Dao Yun that had been sealed in the river of years with his steps. Bridging the past and the future, continuing the legacy. Perhaps this is the child of the era, destined by heaven. Such honors were heaped upon Lu Chenju, yet after dialogues with many sages, he knew that the truly great were those vanished ancestors. He was merely a transporter. The Pathbreaker's journey is arduous and long. Surrounded and watched by countless people, Lu Chenju stepped into the ruins. Yijikyu, carrying a sword, arrived quietly, his face excited. Before, he had some reservations about Lu Chenju's fame, but after witnessing Zhang Zu's manifestation at Great Snow Mountain, his doubts instantly vanished. After observing Zhang Zu's combat, his swordsmanship realm successfully advanced into the fifth realm, grasping, sword intent. Lu Chenju, forever a god. What about the four great Taoist bodies? Not as good as my brother Lu. Brother Lu, truly a great benefactor of others for 10 generations. In the ruins, Lu Chenju moved through the Water Nymph Palace, Wood Immortal Palace, and Golden Immortal Palace, feeling the lingering Dao Yun from the Elder Leisure 3 Immortals, gaining some insights. He combined the knowledge from his history classes to explore the long-lost stories within the ruins. At dusk, the red clouds of the setting sun illuminated a seemingly simple thatched hut, the Dao Yun here the strongest. Outside the hut stood a weathered black steel. Elder Leisure's life's intention, not envying the celestial immortals above. Beside it, an official sign read, Elder Leisure's place of Tao enlightenment and transformation. Lu Chenju pushed open the ancient door, stepping his foot in, already hearing the songs of the ages at the doorway, and when his whole body entered, the door automatically closed. Boom! He opened his eyes, looking at the humble decorations inside the hut, a meditation cushion, a writing desk, ink and brushes, a sword hanging on the wall, and a handsome young man gazing at him. The young man's face was youthful, yet his demeanor was tremendously weathered. Those eyes had seen the shifting sands and waves of Kanghai Sanction. Lu Chenju greeted with a bow. I, the junior, greet Elder Leisure. What year is it tonight? Great capital has been destroyed for over 1,000 years. That long ago, eh? The youth sat on the meditation cushion, falling into silence. Lu Chenju asked, did the senior know I was coming? When he pushed open the door, he felt that Elder Leisure seemed to be waiting for someone. Elder Leisure responded, yes. Can senior see the future? No, who can see the future? Dharma Ancestor predicted the birth of LV Zhu before entering Tao. Hearing this, Elder Leisure laughed heartily. The big monks are just playing mysterious. Dharma didn't see the future. He just stood at a great height and looked far. Using the heavenly heart, he deduced some things, much like the tide watchers by the Kayantang River. With wisdom accumulated over generations, they analyze the objective laws of heaven and earth and can infer the arrival of the next wave. And LV Zhu was the one pushed by the era onto the crest of the arriving wave. Hearing Elder Leisure's explanation, Lu Chenju suddenly understood. He had thought that the ancient sages could foresee the past and future. Such a feat would indeed be too sensational. Elder Leisure's explanation, however, made much more sense. Lu Chenju asked, was LV Zhu a tied player of the era, and was Zhang Zhu as well? Elder Leisure smiled. Of course aren't you as well. Understood. The era is ordained by heaven and made by man. As long as there are people, there will be a world, and there will be an era. It's lucky to be a tide player of the era. You get to catch the first big fishes thrown up by the tide and see the finest views. But being a tide player is also dangerous. You are a pathfinder, a pathbreaker, and any slight change in the tide can throw you into the river, doomed forever. Thus, you must tread carefully and keep impatience at bay to prevail. Chapter 441. 287 Passing thousands of sails, one sees oneself, break second shackles to make a name. 3-in-1, 10,000 words added, seeking monthly ticket, \3. Thank you for your teachings, senior. Besides you, the last person I saw before I entered Dao was Zhang Zhu. His cultivation was beyond mine, and he had 1 foot in the 6th realm. His vision and will had even reached the 7th realm. His sword intent alone monopolized the martial arts will of the sword cultivators in the heavenly heart mark. Vaguely, Zhang Zhu saw the tide of 1,000 years later. He said that this tide would be a major upheaval in De Zia martial arts that had not been seen in 10 million years, with more exceptional juniors standing above the tide than us old folks. Lu Chenju said, indeed, the world today is full of strong individuals, but without the predecessors like you who paved the way, this scene would not be possible. Both the ancients and modern people are equally excellent. Elder Leisure said, is there anyone in the current world who has reached the 7th realm? There is. What about the 8th realm? Not yet, but maybe soon. Lu Chenju thought of the Dragon King, or Wanxixian. Is Carefree Palace still around? After you entered Dao, the 3 immortals were presumably disturbed by beings from the netherworld, triggering the chaos of the 3 kings. Amidst internal and external troubles, the Carefree Palace eventually disappeared, but the legacy continued. I see, ultimately, it could not withstand the test of time. An old and a young man talked inside a thatched hut. Unconsciously, it was already deep into the night. Outside the ruins, spectators gradually dispersed. Some people persisted, waiting curiously. Everyone was curious about what Lu Chenju saw in the thatched hut. Discussing ancient and modern times, Lu Chenju's gains were substantial. Suddenly, the young man in front of him emitted a strong aura of death. His handsome face instantly aged, like a withered lotus in winter, retaining only a trace of vitality. The Dao Yun thus came to an end. Elder Leisure said, I see in you a dual cultivation of Buddhist law and Taoist technique, both internal and external cultivation, and even a taste of elephant form fist, practicing a truly upright spear skill. Senior, your insight is like a torch. It is indeed the case. In my lifetime, I had a modest understanding of Buddhist Taoist skill, but what I excelled in came from the exotic Qi Min skill, a cultivation method that can be traced back to ancient ancestors, Qi refining technique. To some extent, the Qi refining technique is also one of the origins of martial arts. Before we part, I will impart to you the dark weapon skill of Qi Min as an auxiliary method to protect the Tao. The Elder's Mud Pill Palace and Lower Danshan exuded 2 streams of black and white Qi, which circulated through the 8 meridians and various acupoints in the body, eventually converging into a swirling, gray, foggy vortex in his right palm, floating and rotating like an energy ball. On the surface of this gray ball, life energy and death Qi were interwoven, alternately blazing hot and chillingly cold. Elder Leisure said, my dark weapon skill doesn't require needles, stones, jujube cores, or other mediums. It is formed by condensing innate true Qi, thus it requires the 2nd realm cultivation to be performed. I see that you are only a step away from the 2nd realm. It is most suitable for you to practice this technique. However, remember this technique is extremely malevolent, an absolute killing technique. Do not use it unless you intend to kill. Do not use it in friendly martial sparring. I will bear this in mind, senior. At that moment, the Elder's gray energy ball shot out from his palm, causing the void to seem as if it were shattering wherever it passed. It pierced through walls and soared into the sky. Boom! The energy ball exploded, clearing clouds in the vicinity with its shockwave. Life and death breath interwoven, presenting an illusion of vegetation flourishing and withering, exterminating everything. Even a grandmaster caught in it might find life worse than death. Lu Chenju inwardly thought. Such immense power, just like a rocket. Senior, are you sure this is just a dark weapon skill? In his memory, dark weapon skills were like those of Tang Zheng, involving the manipulation of flying needles. As the old man's figure gradually became indistinct, he advised. Although this technique is powerful, it demands a high level of control and consumes a great deal of innate true qi. Use it sparingly, keeping it as a last resort for self-defense. Moreover, to cultivate this technique, you need to cultivate both innate life energy and acquired death qi. Life and death qi must intersect and counteract to form life and death qi. Be careful in balancing the life and death qi during cultivation to avoid conflict and explosion. Innate life energy is present in everyone from birth. The higher the cultivation, the richer and higher the quality of the life energy. As for acquired death qi, it can only be born within a quarter of an hour of a person's death. You need to collect this death qi yourself, incorporate and strengthen it within your body. The stronger the deceased, the higher the quality of the death qi. The quality of the life and death qi affects the power of your technique. Do not go on the demon path by cultivating with the death qi of ordinary people. This technique is both righteous and demonic. Whether you become an immortal or a demon depends on a single thought. I believe in your martial arts intention. That's why I imparted this technique to you. Do not disappoint me, Lu Chenju quickly assured. I will not disappoint, Senior. Indeed, this cultivation method was extraordinary. According to historical records collected from later generations, Elder Leisure was only second to Zhang Zhu during the Dadu dynasty, stronger than other great grandmasters but weaker than the combined might of the Golden Tent Double Kings. The illusion disappeared. Inside the hut it was empty. Outside the window the Kunlun Plateau was clear, the sky bright and the stars like battles. In his mind, the martial arts tree had already grown 20 zhang high. In the inner scenery land, towering trees thrived, reaching for the sky. The barren land around the divine palace was now lush with green grass. The life spring flowed, forming a lake that was gradually expanding. One day this spring water will flow like the Kunlun source, forming great rivers and lakes, the 5 lakes and 4 seas. Lu Chenju gained some insights. The process of martial arts cultivation is like a journey of creating worlds, with acupoints like spring eyes, the body like a heaven and earth membrane, power, true qi, gang qi. These are the manifestations of power gathered from the spring eyes, nurturing the civilization's rivers, lakes, 3 mountains, 5 mountains. When the body reaches its ultimate, the world also approaches completion. Chapter 442, 287. Passing thousands of sails, one sees oneself, breaks second shackles to make a name. 3-in-1, 10,000 words added, seeking monthly ticket. This world is an abstract representation, yet if humans could continue to grow stronger, transforming the false into the real, why couldn't this inner realm eventually foster a real world? Yet this step is too distant. Even those at the absolute peak would likely not reach this realm. Breaking the first shackles is also called grinding the flesh, where power polishes the large muscles of the body, enhancing qi power. Breaking the second shackles, called forging the sinews, transforms power into true qi, birthing the inner heaven and earth river within the inner realm. The veins and blood vessels are the river channels. By forging the sinews, you allow the river to become wide and mighty, and the riverbanks robust and stable, thereby nurturing and accommodating more true qi, allowing it to smoothly circulate within the body, further polishing the muscles and forming an ecological cycle within the body, making the world increasingly perfect. In his ancient and modern conversations with Elder Leisure, Lu Chenju's understanding of martial arts deepened. This sage did not tell Lu Chenju how to break the second shackles. After all, times are different, but his occasional brilliant remarks provided enlightenment. This journey was worthwhile. He gazed at the main trunk of the martial arts tree. Upon the cloud ascending ladder, another cultivation technique appeared. Life and Death Talisman, first layer 1%. The Life and Death Talisman is not an inner strength method but a secret technique. The minimum prerequisite to cultivate this method is to have broken through the second shackles and generated innate true qi. It consists of 12 layers, and at its extreme, it can condense 12 gray energy balls within the body simultaneously. Its academic name is Life and Death Mysterious Pearl. If all these mysterious pearls explode, the stacked power is so formidable that even someone exceeding an entire realm would not dare to confront it directly. From Elder Leisure's recollections, he once sparred with Zhang Zhu in an uninhabited area of Kunlun Mountain just before his death. Although he was no match for Zhang Zhu, he was confident that had he mastered this secret technique and released all 12 pearls together, he certainly could have severely injured Zhang Zhu. However, this technique was created by elder Leisure in his later years, and he never mastered it, and with his personality, he would not use it against a friend merely for winning or losing. The Life and Death Talisman is a middle-level divine skill secret technique. It is positioned on the martial arts tree, just below the world venerates suffering method. The latter is likely a supreme divine skill heart refining method. As for the great shapeless section, this technique is somewhat special because it is incomplete and thus unranked. Should it be completed, it would likely also be foundational like the dragon and tiger heavenly pile. Of course, its status would still be above a supreme divine skill. After traveling so far, I've managed to acquire so many divine skills and supreme techniques for free. Once I break the second shackles, I need to start learning them. Just entering the beginning stages won't be very effective. Of course, learning divine skills must be done incrementally. At present, the Cloud Ascending Ladder and Life and Death Talisman seem simpler and can be tried first. World Venerates Suffering method is too mysterious. It's better to train in Buddhist principles and higher levels of cultivation later on. Lu Chenju pushed open the thatched cottage and stepped into the deep night. Gazes followed him, silent, until someone couldn't hold back and said, "Brother Lu, did you find what you were seeking?" Lu Chenju nodded slightly, smiling. "Yes." The crowd parted to create a path for him, watching as his figure disappeared. Thatched cottage and enlightenment. Don't rush, enlighten in order. The next day, Li Gui and his wife left. On the hillside of Longevity Valley, a thatched cottage was erected. Lu Chenju now resided in Longevity Valley. He felt a premonition that his breakthrough was imminent. Longevity Valley, being behind the campus of Kunlun Martial Arts University, was safe. The scenery here was beautiful and the spiritual energy nourishing. Lu Chenju planned to polish his power here. In fact, not only he from Kunlun Martial Arts University was secluding in Longevity Valley for cultivation. Several teachers and students were also residing in scattered cottages amongst the landscapes. Lu Chenju used inner vision on his Danshan, where tiger form power took precedence, with swallow form power and spear power revolving around the tiger form, slowly rotating, forming a pattern similar to the Tai Kai yin-yang fish. Under the mediation of the yin-yang divine seed, there was no severe conflict. Tai Kai boxing is indeed beneficial. Additionally, with the spirit of the spear, I command both the tiger and swallow dual forms, spirit, also alleviating some of their conflicts. With this, it seemed this challenge was also resolved. He inspected his musculature internally. The energy born within the acupoints continued to generate power incessantly, this power clinging to organs like the heart, lungs, and liver. The organs are the most vulnerable places for a martial artist. Only a great grandmaster who has broken through the fifth shackles can truly begin the strong cultivation of organs, which is the fifth stage, gold plating the organs. Then, the organs become as durable as a golden body, inherently possessing strong defense power. Even if an organ is removed, as long as it is replaced swiftly, it can heal itself automatically. Some non-essential organs can even regenerate. Thus, a great grandmaster, unless instantly destroyed, complete obliteration of their internal organs, provided there's a glimmer of life left, can preserve their life. Paired with great medicine and life spring, they can quickly recover as before, vibrant and energetic. In the eyes of ordinary people, what would be fatal wounds are no longer fatal. Of course, missing a heart or head still results in death. While refining his power, Lu Chenju continued his cultivation with the Bodhi technique. Additionally, Kunlun Martial Arts University granted him access to the gravity training room where he could practice cross-training. Breaking through and cultivating did not interfere with each other. Su City. Tang Zheng listened to the reports from his subordinates, lost in thought. He's residing in Longevity Valley at Kunlun Martial Arts University. Has Lu Chenju ended his travels just like that? Could it be that he's ready to break the second shackles? To his knowledge, this young man had only advanced 3 years ago. A subordinate asked, "Should we still deploy death soldiers? Our people are hidden outside Kunlun." With a glint of madness in his eyes, Tang Zheng eventually responded calmly. Chapter 443, 287. As the boat surpasses 1,000 sails, one sees oneself, break second shackles to make a name. 3-in-1, 10,000 words added, seeking monthly ticket, \5. Temporarily give up. Cultivating a death soldier is not easy. Act according to the situation. Lu Chenju's breakthrough had become common knowledge. He believed that the master behind Lu Chenju was already waiting to bait their hook. Going out at this time would be a death wish. Kunlun Martial Arts University, North Campus. Vice-Chancellor's office. Star Lord Shenyang Qi connected with an old friend's call and chuckled. Brother Wang, let me guess, you're calling about your outstanding disciple, right? On the other end of the line, Wang Changming's voice came through. Brother Shenyang, please look after him a bit. You know, since his journey he has become a major target to eliminate by many sinister forces, and even within the campus, one cannot be careless. After the Heavenly King, let me treat you to a drink. What drink? If it's not a century-old vintage, I won't drink it. A 820-year-old Ziner read. Brother Wang, generous as always, leave it to me. On the other end, Wang Changming, looking at Li Gui in front of him, said, No worries, Chenju has skilled his way through his journey, collecting numerous divine weapon treasures. Unless a grandmaster himself appears, he is safe with his wit and abilities. Hearing that Lu Chenju would soon be breaking through, Jai Chuantong had a complex and gratified smile. This day has still come. King Shinkang's words turned out to be prophetic. Shiruyu had long anticipated this. As expected, when her junior returned, he had already broken the second shackles. She couldn't lag too far behind. After a long cultivation, her chi blood had reached its limit, only lacking in a few acupoints. This year, she might have hope in breaking through the shackles. Other than close friends, the news of Lu Chenju's imminent breakthrough was not mentioned to anyone else. Colleagues at Kunlun Martial Arts University, seeing him settle in Longevity Valley, had discreetly guessed. That day, near Lu Chenju's hut, a grandmaster also settled here, his figure like a sword, his gaze piercing, truly a heaven-ranked grandmaster, Yi Qingcheng. His grandmaster or a sword, sweeping across all directions, causing plants to collapse. Clearly, he was here to protect the path. Although there was competition among Tianxia's 9 major factions, on a broader front, everyone's goals were aligned. They all hoped Dazia could give birth to new absolute peaks to support heaven and earth. The competition was also rightful. With the Grandmaster presiding over, hidden hostile gazes gradually dispersed. Lu Chenju saw and kept in mind the help from his friends and seniors. In the blink of an eye, several days passed. March 10th. Outside Longevity Valley, a figure gracefully arrived, like an immortal descending to the dust. Golden Ruins primordial monarch Shang Yuanzu, the current head of Kunlun. Yi Qingcheng hurriedly stood up and bowed. Headmaster, why have you come? Shang Yuanzu stood with her hands behind her back, looking at Lu Chenju's hut. I came for a stroll. In fact, the Yachi immortal had asked her to come. Her sister said Lu Chenju's advancement was of great importance. After this journey, the Absolute Peak Strong Ones had gradually acknowledged the Dragon King's former appraisal of absolute peak stature. Within their power, they needed to ensure his protection and growth. It troubled her heart. Her own student at Kunlun and her sister had never been so concerned. The ones recognized by the Dragon King were indeed different. Inside Lu Chenju's hut, inner realm heaven and earth, the sky full of stars resonated. The stars shifted, and starlight interconnected the stars. In an instant, streaks of pure white flawless energy ribbon cascaded to the earth, the divine storage power originating from the acupoints continuously flowing into the inner heaven and earth membrane. Boom, the boundless space expanded. The ends of heaven reached out into the infinity of the chaotic void, creating new spaces. This indicated that the physical limit shackles of Lu Chenju were further broken, and his ability to accommodate chi blood surged rapidly. Breaking the limit, 150 acupoints resonating, would naturally elevate about 17 points of chi blood. Breaking the first limit was 53 points. Breaking the second limit, the minimum chi blood was 70 points. But his chi blood quickly surpassed 70 points, still rising, eventually stopping at 77 points. Stepping into the second break, his chi blood far exceeded others in the same realm. This was the effect of the blood lotus treasure medicine. After the chi blood shackles were broken, inside Lu Chenju's danshan, 3 distinctly different under the coordination of the yin-yang divine seed merged seamlessly, the force circulating through the grand circulation of the tiger demon tai sui technique, finally channeled into the energized and purified chi blood in both hands at the Kaiyan Gu acupoint. When the force emerged again, it transformed into a strand of six-colored chi gleaming with pure gold, crimson, pure white, verdant green, azure purple, and earthy yellow, representing the current martial arts' five elements attribute. Of course, among the six colors, red and gold were dominant, stemming from the fire and gold of the tiger form fist and from the spear skills representing the layered gold. The other colors were minimal. Five elements cycle of generation and restraint. Perfect innate true chi should contain gold, wood, water, fire, earth. I currently do not practice martial arts with the water attribute, thus it's incomplete, but the impact is minor. Others, innate true chi compared to mine is even more incomplete. Fixing this after reaching a higher level of cultivation is not too late. And low levels of cultivation can barely handle the complexity of conflicting properties, invisibly raising the difficulty of faction cultivation. Martial arts cultivation, in the beginning, values quality over quantity. This strand of six-colored true chi flowed through the 8 meridians and ultimately settled in the lower dantian, slowly spurring with the revolving chi, gradually strengthening. Passing lightly over the chi blood and true chi stages, having undergone numerous trainings with heavenly materials and earthly treasures for body refining, the pain brought by breaking the second shackles this time was trivial. Chapter 444, 287. Passing thousands of sales, one sees oneself, break second shackles to make a name. 3-in-1, 10,000 words added, seeking monthly ticket, /6. His internal organs, under the protection of flawless power, sustained only minor injuries. A thin layer of blood armor, as thin as the wings of a cicada and mixed with impurities shed from bodily transformation, oozed out from his pores, emitting a faint stench. With a slight tremor, the blood armor dispersed into a mist and vanished. Lu Chenju quickly took an expensive rejuvenation pill. The medicinal effect turned into a warm, bluish stream that, alongside the blood lotus treasure chi and yellow dragon treasure chi, rapidly restored his strength and healed his internal and external injuries. He did not know when, but two figures identical to him stood faintly before him. One bore blood-red, violent eyes, and the other had dull, white eyes, full of ignorance and stupor. Lu Chenju murmured, "The test of will has come." The test of will, anciently known as the heart demon tribulation. Martial arts involve both body refinement and mental training. Every human being, even those who are absolute peak strong, have imperfect mental realms. From the moment they break their second shackles, each time a martial artist breaks through, they must undergo a test of will. This stage is profound and mysterious with no specific countermeasures. As long as the will of martial arts is strong enough, one could generally survive it. This was Lu Chenju's first encounter, so he was extremely cautious. As soon as these two figures appeared, they dove into Lu Chenju's body. Aside from a spiritual artifact bracelet, the Great Sun Heavenly Dragon Cloak also acted as a slight barrier. However, other divine weapons and cross-training were ineffective against the heart demons, Chen Soul and Kai Soul. Lu Chenju did not attempt to stop them. Heart demons could only be eradicated, not blocked, for they always lurked within a person's 3 souls and 7 spirits, and the 7 emotions and 6 desires, embodying a collection of negative emotions. These two were only parts of the heart demons. Others like greed soul, lust soul, fear soul, and envy soul varied by individual. Inside the inner scenery land, Chen Soul and Kai Soul descended like heavenly gods. As pure negative emotions as they invaded his psyche, Lu Chenju's face twisted. Sometimes he foolishly laughed, other times he bellowed. Evil thoughts buried deep in his spiritual world propagated, attempting to take over. Ha ha ha, kill, kill, kill. Life is boring, isn't death a better relief? Die, just die. Martial arts is too hard with my talents. Reaching the absolute peak is impossible. Yes, so ignorant, what's the point of living, just die? Countless voices shouted in his mind. Positive and negative emotions are inherently one. That is what makes a complete, living person. However, if one does not adhere to certain mental principles and allows negative emotions to flourish and expand, martial artists are bound to fall into madness. Many black nights of carefree travel were created this way. At a critical moment, Lu Chenju fortified his psyche. In the inner scenery land, a sky-high giant tree extended millions of green branches and leaves, enveloping the surroundings. The Chen and Kai souls wielded a wild blade and a giant hammer, their fierce attacks repelling the branches. In the fifth realm of fist theory, Lu Chenju's martial arts will was immensely potent. The giant tree rooted deeply into the earth, merely extending more branches, eventually nearly filling the sky. Chen and Kai's souls had nowhere to hide, and soon they were entangled and shredded into pieces. This was a completely overwhelming battle. The test of will casually passed. The inner scenery land returned to calm. The giant tree just warmed up. Lu Chenju felt that even if all the other heart demons grouped up and attacked, they probably couldn't match the giant tree. His martial arts will, for the current realm's heart demons, was a completely overwhelming attack. All difficulties overcome one by one. The expansion of the inner scenery land, too, halted. In the barren land, the Meat Divine Palace transformed into a towering, ancient, and classical tower. On the pillars inside, the yellow dragon treasure chi had grown much thicker and more solid, even emitting a faint dragon's might. Golden dragon eyes, with an overwhelming aura. Life Spring, with the expansion of heaven and earth, had turned into a small lake about a mile in diameter. Blood Lotus continuously sprouted new leaves, occupying a large area of the lake's surface. The Life Spring, 2 streams of treasure energy, all have advanced. Reflected in his physique, even without the benefits of cross-training, Lu Chenju's defense power, self-healing ability, and physical conditions considerably exceeded those of other martial artists of the same realm. Splashing. Inside the inner scenery land, the sound of rippling water flowed. Lu Chenju ascended to the high heavens, viewing from a godly perspective on the verdant land below. Numerous small creeks crisscrossed, shimmering with a 6-colored luster. The river of inner heaven and earth, the river of true chi. These waterways are the physical manifestation of human veins and arteries. The next phase of cultivation would be continuously flushing these channels with true chi, making them wider and longer. This differentiates into 4 forms of true chi. True chi like a stream, true chi like a river, true chi like a river, true chi like a sea, marking the 4 minor realms. The more true chi, the thicker the true chi shield, the stronger the defense, and qualities such as lethal power and endurance also correspondingly increase. Such is the fundamental strength of breaking the second shackles. Lu Chenju skimmed along the river course, arriving before the peak of martial arts. His form passed unhindered through the first spiral stairs, stepping onto the observation platform of the second spiral. Looking up, the figure at the peak amidst the clouds seemed much clearer. Lu Chenju looked towards the rock wall, where the inscriptions had clearly multiplied. To overcome the heart demon tribulation, one may first cultivate the Buddhist law. It best defeats greed, anger, and ignorance, dharma. Dharma ancestor / left a strategy for the later generations. Cast aside all illusions, eliminate evil thoughts, the mystery of Taoist technique, LV Chenyang. LV Zhu is not to be outdone. The Taoist technique of Wudang also aids in crossing the mental barrier, Zhang Yingxian. To refine the heart, first practice Zen Kong Wen. Lu Chenju finally understood. Goodness, the pious predecessors are recruiting students with their advertisements here. Debating scripture up to the peak of martial arts, truly worthy of the big shots. This was a path he had never imagined. Climb 2 floors higher, one Chixian. Buddha Dao is practiced together, free from heart demons, Kangshan Dragon King. Ha ha ha, the Dragon King is still so wild, always true to his origin. Lu Chenju used his finger as a pen, 6-colored radiance swirling at his fingertips. He wrote boldly on the rock wall. Thousands of boats compete to cross, countless kinds frost the sky, Lu Chenju. After traveling for half a year, encountering ancient and modern sages, witnessing the vastness of heaven and earth, and seeing many forms of life, he finally settled in Kunlun, in a place of silence, broke the second profound barrier. Chapter 445. 288. This line spans 48,000 miles. Who in the world does not know you? 4K. Everything was ready. The breakthrough realm came naturally, with no heart-stopping crises or sudden accidents, only the smooth flow of inevitable success. Opening his eyes, Lu Chenju lifted the straw hut's covering. He stretched lazily, feeling refreshed and clear-headed. Congratulations, young friend, on successfully breaking the second shackles, Yi Qingcheng, who had been protecting the path by his side these days, said with a smile. Lu Chenju hurriedly bowed, sincerely saying, "Thank you, Senior. Thank you, Kunlun, for the trouble I've caused you." He had originally planned to return to Sioux City to seclude himself for cultivation. But the feeling of breakthrough came so swiftly, like a tornado. Seizing the fleeting opportunity, he broke through right there and then. In the sky, an ethereal voice was heard. "Don't worry, you can stay in Kunlun as long as you like." Shangyuan Zhu transformed into a rainbow and flew away. Before disappearing, she conveyed a message to Lu Chenju in a joking tone. "It would be even better if you joined us in Kunlun." Speechless, Lu Chenju stood in place, bowing distantly. On his phone, messages from his sect and friends filled the screen. "Jai Xuantong, disciple, have you broken the second shackles? Wang Changming, focus on your breakthrough, don't worry about anything else." Reading these greetings and expressions of concern, Lu Chenju realized in his heart. Beautiful as the landscape is, only Dragon City is home. On the day he was promoted to martial arts master, Sioux City Dragon Martial Branch transferred 2,000 great merits to Lu Chenju as a reward for breaking the second shackles, and his potential index on the Hidden Dragon list also soared by 50,000 points, propelling him to the 49th place. Maintaining this rank yielded a modest monthly reward of 50 great merits, modest but sustainable. Looking back, classmates from Genius Class 1 and Tinglong Class 9 were far behind. The closest to him was Fang Zhu at rank 150. Who had also been preparing to break the second shackles recently, but evidently, she took too long, allowing Lu Chenju to become the first among his peers to achieve it. Lu Chenju looked towards the top of the list. Liao has aged past 35 and dropped out, as has my senior brother. Now, ranked first is the Grandmaster of Middle Realm Cultivation, Heavenly Stealing Ape Duke, Sun Shisun. It wouldn't be long before he dominated this list. In the following time, Lu Chenju continued his cultivation in Longevity Valley. Firstly, to stabilize his realm and familiarize himself with the changes in body, chi blood, and true chi after breaking the second shackles. And secondly, to plan his post-breakthrough cultivation path and learn about recent major events. Upon reviewing the news, apart from reports on top-tier experts in battles in the Void Realm, the hottest topic, involving him, suggested a commanding presence among the new generation, rivaling Zhen Ding, the monk who won the Heavenly Path Cup. Martial Arts Daily. Recently, the renowned Lu Chenju from Dragon City, inspired while meditating in the Great Snow Mountain at Kunlun, invoked the manifestation of Zhang Zhu and successfully broke his shackles, ascending to martial arts master. Kunlun Martial Arts University provided full protection during his promotion, showcasing the spirit of Da Zia martial arts. Youth Martial Arts. This ordinary youth from a cultural high school, with unremarkable root bone, was not content with his lot. One step at a time, he moved from cultural high school to high school martial arts school, eventually entering Dragon City Martial Arts University with outstanding results. Against all odds, he triumphed, proving that heaven rewards the diligent. Our station invited Lu Chenju's high school classmate Qin Zheng to present a different side of Lu Chenju. Lu Chenju thought to himself. His high school days were nothing more than studying and martial arts. Both in front of and behind the scenes, his persona was perfectly consistent. No scandals, no amusing tales, just a dull and boring person. I'll have to remind Qin Zheng not to embellish my story. On the forums of the Martial Artist Association, many who had thought Lu Chenju would enter the competition for the All Nations Yellow List were now silent. Just 3 years had passed, and Lu Chenju had ascended to become a martial arts master, and with 3 years until the martial arts tournament, if it went smoothly, armed with his array of divine weapons, he could aim for the top 10 ranks. After the latest Mystic List nominations, Lu Chenju's votes surpassed those of Dragon Tiger Zhang Lingmiao, True Martial Hong Tianxiang, Kunlun Yi Zhikyu, Qingcheng Bai Miao Miao, and other martial arts geniuses who had risen to break second shackles earlier than him, placing him first. This indicated that in terms of popularity and reputation, this late bloomer officially surpassed a host of early achievers among martial arts geniuses, truly standing out among his peers. In terms of fame alone, most grandmasters of Da Zia martial arts also fell short of him. In martial arts cultivation, reputation is very important. Reputation gathers the expectations and hopes of countless people. Reputation can make you friends all over the world. Some say that reputation itself is an external manifestation of the elusive luck. Being famous early is key, a goal Lu Chenju had achieved. In the era of the internet, it was somewhat exaggerated, but in the martial arts world of Da Zia, anyone who keeps up with current events would have heard of Lu Chenju, one way or another. In the blink of an eye, it was the end of March. Outside his modest dwelling, Lu Chenju, looking at Yi Zhikyu, smiled and said, A cultivator who does not understand the essence merely chases the superficial. Despite utmost diligence, like a tree without roots, what use is it? Yijikyu, showing a contemplative look, then asked, "Is Brother Lu suggesting that I've focused too much on skill and neglected the cultivation of Taoist techniques?" Lu Chenju replied, "Martial arts cultivation has its foundation and soil. The fifth theory, Taoist techniques, and Buddhist principles we discuss all trace back to the Tao Te Ching, Zhuangzi, originating from the Taoist classics that encompass our lives. Brother Yi, if you feel a lack of inspiration, perhaps it would be worthwhile to delve more into these texts." Chapter 446, 288. This journey of 48,000 li, who in the world does not recognize you, 4K /2. There's sense in that. Thank you, Brother Lu, for the enlightenment. No trouble at all. I merely had some understandings while comprehending the Tao and am offering what little I can. Yi Zhikyu left. During his stay in Kunlun, Lu Chenju often engaged in such exchanges about the Tao with the teachers and students here. He didn't begin with much understanding himself, but through the teachings of sages, he became inspired. Then, in his spare time, he would borrow the ancient texts they mentioned from the library to read. The Buddha and Tao-containing classics were all-encompassing. With a rich foundation, his cultivation in Buddhist and Taoist martial arts also proceeded twice as fast. He closed the door to his room and practiced pure yang unlimited shield alone. After completing the exercise, the area around his lower abdomen's dantian felt exceptionally hot. Using inner vision to look within, he saw a sun made of yang qi shrinking, becoming smaller and denser. Under the fusion reaction of the yang qi, it transformed into an irregular, jujube core-sized golden entity. With a pitted surface, it floated within the lower dantian, continuously emitting a pure yang essence that was both dragonically fierce and tigerishly strong, flowing throughout his body. The fake pill is formed. He looked towards the martial arts tree in his mind, which had grown to a staggering 30 zhang tall. Pure yang unlimited shield, small success. At the mastery level, the formation of a core is a mere illusion, non-existent. After reaching small success, one can transform the fake into real, giving birth to an irregular pure yang fake pill in the dantian. The fake pill acts like an extra kidney, providing additional energy and endurance. Next is to continuously refine the fake pill, making it rounder, until it becomes a pure yang true pill. The endurance of the true pill undergoes a qualitative change, with physical strength more than twice that of peers in the same realm. Afterwards, one continues refining essence and transforming qi, converting the accumulated essence due to no outlet for release into energy stored within the true pill. This pure yang power, continuously compressed, will ultimately become a flawless and glittering pure yang great pill, also known as the pure yang golden core, mentioned in inner elixir techniques. This is also why it is generally not advised to break the virgin's body when practicing crotch skills, as the countless offsprings otherwise lost during the practice could serve as a reserve hidden energy source, similar to a battery or a reservoir, storing excess energy for when it's needed. This is the fundamental principle behind the increase in endurance. Lu Chenju had an epiphany. No wonder many indulgent individuals often seem so drained. They've squandered all their precious essence. A proper amount is fine. Should one succeed in forming a pure yang golden core, the continual stream of dragon and tiger essence within the body would make one's physical strength 4 to 5 times that of peers in the same realm. The exact figure varies from person to person, mostly due to individual talent. Some people are naturally fierce. Such individuals can store more energy. My crotch cross-training talent has been recognized by Mr. Chen. Though a virgin, Lu Chenju was still exceptionally confident in himself. In a moment's thought, he activated the pure yang unlimited shield, and the pure yang fake pill in his dantian trembled, releasing strands of essence that formed an invisible barrier with a faint golden sheen at his crotch. He casually threw a punch, which felt like hitting a thick sponge, with the force dissipating like mud into the sea. Lu Chenju's face brightened with joy. With golden bell protection combined with the small success pure yang shield, even if I stood still, some women wouldn't be able to break through my shield, rendering me immune to stealthy below-the-belt attacks. Even if they somehow managed to break through the shield, my thoroughly tempered golden spear is hard enough to withstand the blow. With this, he had mastered his crotch skills. As a middle-grade true skill, if he could achieve great success, it would be no less effective than what the unbreakable Taoist demonstrated that day. Time flew by. Lu Chenju once again secluded himself in Longevity Valley for a month. During this period, he officially began the pile skill cultivation of the second realm. From the 120th to the 150th acupoint, which were located on the right calf, and from the 150th to the 180th on the symmetrical left calf, making the initial realm acupoint opening not very difficult. He had already consumed all his yellow spirit body-breaking pills, and this great medicine had a minimal effect after the break-second shackles on opening acupoints. He visited the pharmacy of Kunlun Martial Arts University and bought 20 mystical spirit-breaking body pills for 2 million apiece. Alongside the great medicine and ensuring 12 hours daily for opening acupoints, the first 3 acupoints only took a month. The effect of the 5th-rank divine seed remained robust. However, beyond the 180th acupoint, the difficulty increased, and maintaining the rate of 3 acupoints a day became challenging. Having broken through the second shackles, sleeping 4 hours daily was more than enough, leaving 8 hours for other martial arts cultivation and daily affairs. Squeezing time was just manageable. Once the divine seed advanced to the 6th rank later on, it was appropriate to reduce the time spent on opening acupoints, for the liver would be exhausted. On this day, in the Qi blood measurement room, Lu Chenju threw a punch, and the value on the measuring device skyrocketed. Qi blood value 83 points, still 17 points away from middle realm Qi blood. The Tiger Demon Tai Sui technique has reached the 4th level. It is time to leave. This time, after his inner strength breakthrough, he gained a substantial amount of Qi blood. Lu Chenju had been ready to break through for a while, but paused his inner strength cultivation to avoid wasting Qi blood. Ding! Your account ending in 9527 has received a transfer of 100 million from Taoist Science and Technology. Your current account balance is 150 million. On the phone, a message from Chen Yi came through in sync. Chen Yi, congratulations on breaking the second shackle. I've transferred the agreement money. Lu Chenju, thanks for the company's support. Is there a mistake? Wasn't the agreement for 40 million? Chen Yi, the agreement was for 40 million, but Master Zai Ocean Dao added another 100 million out of his own pocket to make it up to you. Rest assured and use it without worries. The company has now created a new SSSS tier based on you at the SSS level. Lu Chenju, thank you. Well, they've even come up with a 4S. Chen Yi, in a little while, Magic City will be hosting the 3rd Spear Skill Exchange competition. If you're interested, you might want to take a look. It could help with your spear skill cultivation. Lu Chenju, all right, I'll see how it goes. Lu Chenju found a way to contact Zai Ocean Dao and wrote him a bunch of thank you notes. He had been busy wandering and cultivating for the past 2 years and hadn't done a bit of work. However, he understood why Taoist Science and Technology were willing to pay extra. As his fame rose, so did the company's stock price. Naturally, Taoist Science and Technology would not lose out. Soon, another message came in. Lai Taisheng, no need to mention it, mutual benefit is the best. To be honest, before the martial artist came along, the company was indeed losing money just to gain exposure. But since you started wandering last year, the company made a good profit off your fame. 1 billion is what you deserve. Ha ha ha, I've always said that you're no less than the Dragon King. Lu Chenju couldn't quite respond to that. Lai Taisheng, there's one more thing. Taoist Science and Technology has also developed a means of transportation called Xianyun. We'll send you one for free in a few days. It's absolutely better than the Divine Chariot. Lu Chenju suddenly realized, as the spokesperson for Taoist Science and Technology, it was indeed inappropriate for him to be seen riding around in a competitor's vehicle every day. No wonder some people with ulterior motives on the internet made a big deal out of it, trying to slander him. Of course, Lu Chenju ignored all that idle chatter. After packing up and dismantling the temporary shelter he had built, when Lu Chenju was about to leave, friends he had met during this time all came to see him off. Brother Lu, are you leaving? Why don't you just join Kunlun Martial Arts University? Hearing this, Yijikyu also arrived on his sword, hurried and fast-paced. His divine weapon allowed him short-range levitation. So when there were many people around, he liked to show off his sword control. Yijikyu said, Brother Lu, why not stay a few more days? Lu Chenju bowed with his hands clasped. No need to stay. Brother Yi, come visit Jiangnan when you have time. Yijikyu regretfully said. Definitely. In a while, I'm also going to wander, find some more unique places, then we'll meet at the all-nations martial arts competition, if it can be arranged. Lu Chenju, with his gun on his back, said goodbye to everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, farewell. He boarded the divine chariot and looked at the odometer. Through battles and campaigns in the north and south, I've added over 24,000 kilometers without noticing. My senior bought this car and only drove it for less than 10,000 kilometers. Luckily, even though this journey was long, I didn't damage my senior's beloved car. The divine chariot tore through the sky. Inside Longevity Valley, Yijikyu said thoughtfully, "After such a journey, who in the world would not know you?" Chapter 447, 289 Battle of the Azure Sky, 3K. Void Realm. Silvery white colossal city stood like a snowy mountain upon the land. This was Kunlun City. The construction materials for establishing strongholds were often sourced locally, and given the varied terrain within the oasis, each starfarer city also bore its local style. Within the city, there stood a towering tree about a kilometer high. This was the Kunlun Wood, a unique heavenly tree found during the reclamation period. The military thought it a pity to cut down, so it has been preserved to this day, also serving as one of the wonders of Kunlun City. Stepping into the city, Lu Chenju found the management office. "Hello," the Yachi Immortal asked me to find her. A grandmaster at the management office looked confused. "Meet Yachi Immortal." He had been stationed in Kunlun City for decades and had only seen her a few times. Before he could ponder further, a cold voice transmitted in his mind. "Let him come see me." The Grandmaster glanced at Lu Chenju and quickly said, "Go ahead, Yachi Immortal resides in the Golden Mother Palace within the city." "Thank you, Elder." Once Lu Chenju left, the Grandmaster asked a colleague, "Is this the newly emerged martial arts genius of our Kunlun?" His colleague laughed. "The Elder, you just came out of seclusion, you might not be aware. If you went outside for a walk, you'd realize just how incredible that guy who just left is. He's not from Kunlun. He's the chief of Dragon City, once executed a reverse attack break 2, and even made Jiangsu manifest." The Grandmaster stroked his beard, his eyes filled with amazement. It seems De Zia is about to witness the rise of another unmatched martial arts genius. Among the group of martial arts geniuses, the leading ones are recognized as unparalleled martial arts geniuses. Such individuals all possess the attributes of absolute peak. Given time, they are bound to be the trendsetters of the era. The old elder Leisure Jiangsu, today's top-level heavenly king, absolute peak. Dominating an era unsurpassed among heroes. The Golden Mother Palace was easy to find. Right atop the Kunlun Wood. A magnificent palace hung amidst the tree branches. Lu Chenju took an elevator of otherworld style, arriving at a plaza atop the treetop. The area was open, cold, and tranquil, sparking a chilling euphoria of being at a high altitude. "Junior Lu Chenju, I have come to pay respect to Yachi Immortal." "Just a moment." Lu Chenju surveyed the surrounding scenery. Shortly, the palace door opened automatically. "Come in." A graceful young girl looking about 16, clad in a luxurious golden gown, examined Lu Chenju with her bright eyes. "Elder Shangyuan Xian. It seems Zhu has told you my real name." After sitting down inside, with a wave of her hand, a cup of tea appeared in front of Lu Chenju. "Drink, it's somewhat beneficial for your cultivation." Lu Chenju picked up the cup and took a sip. A cool and refreshing sensation struck directly at his mud pill palace. "Good tea. This is tea made from the tender leaves of the bright spirit wood, a Xuan-grade treasure tree, which aids in meditation and spiritual cultivation, and also significantly boosts the efficiency of your fist technique cultivation for the next month. If you like it, I can give you some to take back." "Tasty, thank you, Elder." Why refuse something given for free? Having seen many absolute peak strong individuals, Lu Chenju was straightforward. Most absolute peak strong individuals were genuine. Yachi Immortal solemnly asked, "Did you encounter Elder Leisure in the ruins of Carefree Palace?" "Yes." "Did he transmit a method to you?" "I learned a life and death talisman, which I plan to give to you, Elder." "Thank you. Anything else?" "No, that's all." Yachi Immortal had incredible discernment. She knew at a glance that what Lu Chenju said was true. Her curiosity about Lu Chenju piqued. She asked many questions. Lu Chenju answered all truthfully. As they spoke, Yachi Immortal's gaze was fixed on him. The invisible aura of pressure from this absolute peak was intense. Finally, Yachi Immortal stood up and said, "Thank you for the transmission. I owe you a favor. If you need anything in the future, just come to Kunlun City or find Shangyuan Zoo, it's all the same." A favor from an absolute peak-strong individual could be trivial or significant. This promise was priceless. It was up to Lu Chenju to make use of it. Before leaving, Yachi Immortal gave Lu Chenju a small pouch. "One piece per brew is enough. It'll last you for several years." "Thank you, Elder. When the next batch of tea leaves is ready, I'll save some for you." "Enough, enough. Tea leaves are the best gift, and as an absolute peak strong, Yachi Immortal must give away many each year. A taste was sufficient. She didn't need to ask for more constantly. Senior, I'll take my leave now." The Golden Mother Palace's gates closed. Lu Chenju pondered deeply and felt like he was forgetting something. "Hey, wait a minute. Why can't I remember what Yachi Immortal looks like?" Although he wasn't keen on women, he was curious about the appearance of the world's #1 beauty, but no matter how hard he tried to recall, he couldn't form a mental image. This made him feel like his visit was in vain. Lu Chenju analyzed that Yachi Immortal probably worried about his stability, fearing that after seeing her peerless beauty, he would be captivated and even develop lovesickness. Never mind. Once Lu Chenju had left, Yachi Immortal was alone in the room, looking into the mirror. Her world-shattering beauty somewhat resembled that of Shangyuan Zhu. Only she looked even younger, and her features were flawless. She observed her face beginning to show traces of youth, and her young maiden's body. The side effects of the eternal life skill are getting worse. After leaving Kunlun, Lu Chenju, starting from the Yarlung Zangbo Grand Canyon and following the Yangtze River on the Divine Chariot, headed east. It was time to go home. That day, the Divine Chariot was crossing the rugged Hengduan mountain region. The energy indicator on the Divine Chariot pinged a notification. Lu Chenju inquired, "Where is the nearest energy replenishment station?" "Dali City." "Let's head to Dali. It's a good chance to visit Urhai." In the realm of Kangshan and Urhai, there were also two not insignificant martial arts relics. The first was the Dali Palace, once a prominent and powerful family in the region that established their own dominion. The house leader, Kangshan Sword Emperor, was a famous great grandmaster in the West renowned for the 6 meridian divine sword palm and withering and flourishing divine skill, and extolled by future generations. The second was Jingsheng Temple, which also produced grandmaster powerhouses. Before the Divine Chariot even landed, the Tiger Tai Sui in Lu Chenju's mind suddenly trembled, and the ancient sword above his head swiftly rotated as a warning signal of nearby enemies. Moreover, they were from all around. Lu Chenju looked out the window, his eyes narrowing. Among the mountain mists, flock after flock of winged humanoid strange birds approached. Their exposed skin was a purplish-green color, covered in goosebumps, with a few sparse black feathers at their lofty chests and between their muscular legs, which ended in talons sharp as eagle claws, gleaming with a chilling cold light. These strange birds flapped their wings, generating gusts of piercingly cold wind, and faintly, the heavens seemed to change as snowflakes began to drift in the midair. "Snow Domain Demon, charge!" The surface of the Divine Chariot lit up with an invisible barrier field. Then numerous ice stalactites shot out, creating ripples after ripples, as the instrument panel inside the vehicle flickered wildly. The surrounding temperature is rapidly dropping. Energy is about to be depleted, preparing for emergency landing. As he just broke out of the encirclement, the Divine Chariot dove downward, while at the same time, the Snow Domain Demon behind folded her wings and plunged at high speed. Laughter echoed between heaven and earth. Lu Chenju opened the door and stood at an altitude of 3,000 meters. The giant rat bracelet shimmered with light, stowing away the Divine Chariot. He drew the long spear from behind him. His right foot vibrated the void. His body tore through the clouds. 6-colored true chi circulated, and the Tiger Gall gun swept across with the momentum of an avalanche. Martial King sweeps the 8 desolations. Great snow emerges from Kunlun. Centering on him within the fan-shaped area ahead, the spear wind swept away everything. The leading 3 Snow Domain demons, with bodies as tough as metal, were instantly distorted and twisted as if they had been thrown into a meat grinder, turning into pieces of flesh that fell from the sky. Snow domain demons start from the nether level of Great Void. The spear instantly killed 3 great voids. Lu Chenju's expression was light and casual, clearly quite composed. Innate true chi is too powerful. He once again stepped on the void, flashing 10 yards through the high air. A cold light reached first, followed by the spear thrusting like a dragon, the spear light shattering a spectating demon. 3 more demons, realizing Lu Chenju was not to be trifled with, flapped their wings wanting to flee. Roar! Behind Lu Chenju, a tiger Chi Po, elusive yet visible enough for even ordinary people, emerged. It roared and stepped through the void. Invisible tiger power swept across, causing one of the demons to freeze momentarily. What met it was a robust tiger claw strike. The demon, as if struck by lightning, bled from all 7 orifices, wailing as it plummeted to the ground, its life force fading and its soul shattered on the spot. Lu Chenju's Chi Po was far beyond those of the initial realm. He felt that once his cultivation improved a little more, he wouldn't need to advance to a master to manifest his Chi Po. Another demon was entangled by a spiritual Xuan swallow. It exhaled cold Chi and attacked with sharp claws, but to little effect, as the Xuan swallow was a Chi Po without form. The martial King True Body's ethereal spear stabbed into the demon's head. The demon appeared unharmed on the surface, but its spirit was invaded, as though it saw thousands of spear shadows shooting towards it. Pajai! Lu Chenju's spear swept through, severing the demon's head. In a flash, 6 great voids were killed like cutting grass. With his current strength, paired with an intermediate divine weapon, below a reverse attack break 2, it truly was devastating. He withdrew his aura, his Chi Po returning to him. His body also plummeted rapidly. In the distant mountains, there seemed to be shadows flying over. Lu Chenju knew he had entered a demon's nest. In the Hengduan mountain range, there seemed to be unknown points where the void realm intersected. He was free-falling, with an ancient village styled after Miao territory below. Such mountain villages generally had no human life. The inhabitants had been relocated to towns by the state, mainly to gather them, making it easier to provide protection. When he was 100 meters from the ground, he waved the great sun heavenly dragon cloak, which flapped loudly, blowing upwards. Relying on this buffering force, his descent slowed, and at the final moment before touching down, he activated Wind Step one last time, rebounding upward. With his level of realm, it was impossible for him to fall from a high altitude and die. There were plenty of ways to land smoothly. As the great cloak returned, it automatically draped over him. Lu Chenju's form darted about, quickly finding 6 pairs of sharp claws, which were the snow demon's claws. With the increasing number of demons, the purchase price of void relics had plummeted, but relics of a great void's quality were still worth hundreds of thousands. As he expected, there was not a single hint of human presence in the village. His ears twitched, catching the distant wails of demons carried on the wind.